We are now less than a month away from the Iowa caucuses, and while many campaigns are zeroing in on the first nominating contest, one candidate says his campaign is not planning to compete there. Michael Bloomberg is instead putting resources into Super Tuesday states. He spent Monday in California after opening his first 2 campaign offices there over the weekend.
Unlike Donald Trump, I bring people together. And I listen to people and get their ideas and try to incorporate them and develop my own. Unlike him, I'm about common sense and putting ideas ahead of partisanship. And unlike him, I don't take a penny from special interests, and he does their bidding.
The campaign announced today it was bulking up staff in all of the Super Tuesday states. That includes Virginia, where Bloomberg will be on Tuesday. He's currently scheduled to be in Richmond. For more, Michael Tubbs joins me from Bloomberg headquarters in New York City. He's the co-chair of the Bloomberg campaign and the mayor of Stockton, California. Hi, Michael. Boy, you must be very busy these days. Tell us, why does the campaign feel it's important to focus on California at this stage of the primary?
Well, California is important in this stage of the primary because the delegate counts. If you look at California in terms of being the side of the resistance, a lot of the energy around sort of what the country could look like in terms of climate protections, in terms of common sense gun laws, can be found in California. So as the mayor of Stockton, I'm proud to be part of a campaign that understands that California voters matter, that the folks in Stockton, California, and other parts of California should have a say as to who the Democrat nominee is.
Does this mean the campaign then is not paying attention to the outcomes of the early state contests like Iowa and New Hampshire?
Well, the good thing about our campaign is that we're walking and chewing gum at the same time. So we care about what's happening in all 50 states, including states like California, states like Florida, and the battleground states that are going to be required to take back the White House. So I think the benefits of our campaign is that we have a 50-state operation with organizers and listening to folks from all 50 states to not just beat Donald Trump and make sure it never happens again, but to come up with a policy agenda and proposals that speak to the experiences of Americans no matter where they live.
All right, so let's dig down into the details a little bit, if you will. What exactly is the viable path to victory for Bloomberg? What is the delegate math the campaign predicts could actually launch him to the nomination?
So we have delegate math counters. I'm a mayor, so I don't happen to be one, but we do know that if we compete in all 50 states and if people hear our message of an America that works for everyone, an America that understands the need to reverse the past and to move forward to the future, that would get the vote totals necessary to win the majority of delegate counts. Unfortunately, I'm not the math guy, so I can't tell you how many delegates we need. But we have very smart people who do know that and are making sure that we're putting forth a message that speaks to the American voters and gets them excited about supporting the campaign for the presidency.
All right, and we do know, of course, that Bloomberg is using his own money to fund his presidential bid. So what's your response then to those who say, look, it's just another billionaire trying to buy the election?
Well, I think if you look at sort of polling for other billionaires in the race, they're not polling as well, which means that voters are sophisticated and they're not dumb. Like, I really take issue with ideas that people can buy elections because that robs voters of agency. And until we could talk about campaign finance, that's a separate conversation. But right now the rules are the rules, and we're abiding by the rules and doing what we can to spread a message that's not just about beating Donald Trump, which is important and priority number one, but also speaks to sort of the common sense things we all want to see. Climate protections that make sure we have an earth in the next 15 years. Gun safety laws that make sure that we're not massacred in our houses of worship. Economic policies that ensure that everyone has a good paying job. Some policies that help create an income floor for people. And I think money is an important part of getting that message of inclusivity out.
And Bloomberg has spent apparently $100 million on ads already. Is the campaign seeing a return on that investment? And also, what would you say to voters who say, you know, look, this is a massive amount of money. Think about what that money could do if it was directed towards these specific issues.
Well, I think if you look at Mayor Bloomberg's regular philanthropy, he spent massive amount of money on those issues. If you look at the issues we care about, from climate change to gun safety, Mayor Bloomberg has been a leader philanthropically in spending money on those. If you look at sort of the energy around impeachment is only made possible, and this comes from Steve Bannon, one of Trump's people, because Bloomberg spent $100 million to make sure we took back the House. So Mayor Bloomberg puts his money where his mouth is and where his values are. His values are about creating an America that works for everyone.
And in terms of the campaign, is the campaign feeling that the money is being invested wisely? Are they seeing a return on investment so far?
Well, I think we have a long ways to go, for sure. But if you look at, we've only been in the race for the past month, and we're, according to a HillX poll, we're tied for third place nationally. I think the more we're out there, the more we're getting our message out, the more people hear about his record as a businessman, someone who comes from humble beginnings, who didn't inherit his wealth, who worked hard, who was laid off from his job, whose dad only made $6,000 growing up, who worked his way through school. Who became wealthy and then used his wealth not to just enrich himself, but to really create the America we all deserve. We'll see those numbers continue to rise.
Now, one thing that Mike Bloomberg doesn't seem to be too worried about are the debates. I mean, he obviously can't qualify for any DNC debate because of the required donor threshold, and of course he's not taking any donor cash. So why are the debates not important to Bloomberg's strategy?
I think that the debates are happening, but they're just not happening on stage. Mayor Bloomberg, because he has a different strategy, he's out in communities like Stockton having conversations and debates about where we should go directly with voters in their communities, in communities that oftentimes are touched by presidential.
But Michael, some might say, well, why doesn't Bloomberg want to go head-to-head with the candidates who are leading the pack right now? Is he worried about how he might come across on a debate stage with the leaders?
Well, I don't find that to be the case, and unfortunately, Mayor Bloomberg didn't write the rules as to how one would qualify for the debates. I know several candidates in the race have issue with the rules as is because they're not able to be on the stage as well, and if there was a change in rules, I'm sure you would see him on the debate stage, but the rules being not created by Mr. Bloomberg and being what they are, he's unable to do so. But because of that, it's allowed him to go have that debate about where we should be as a country directly with the people who should hear it, which are voters in communities like Stockton throughout the country.
Right. I want to point out he could decide to accept donations if he wanted to try to compete for the debate stage, but that's another, we could argue that point later. Now, Judge Judy Scheindlin of the television show Judge Judy has endorsed Bloomberg, and she's never publicly endorsed a candidate in the past. Did the campaign know about her support previously?
I don't have endorsements as well, but I know the campaign's excited to have the support of folks like Judge Judy, a no-nonsense, tough-talking, smart person who really wants what's best for the country. So I know there have been some conversations since she wrote her op-ed a couple months ago, and we're excited that she's on board talking to the folks in Texas about the need to make sure that we defeat Donald Trump in November.
So if Bloomberg is not the nominee, do you think he would then use his fortune and his deep pockets to help whoever is nominated to run against the president? I mean, he's been vocal about how this election is so important because of what the threat that he feels President Trump poses to the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, number one, Mr. Bloomberg's in this race to defeat Donald Trump and to be the Democratic nominee. And if he's not the Democratic nominee, the goal is to still beat Donald Trump. And I think most Americans, and we'll see in November, are motivated by that. So definitely will still be, as he has in the past, whether it's 2018, 2016, in ensuring that Donald Trump's defeated. And I expect that to continue in 2020 and beyond.
Michael Tubbs, thank you so much for joining us.